For our viewers across Africa and the rest of the world, this is NC Continental Prime. I am Lekon Onobanjo. We begin the news in West Africa, where no fewer than 60 members of Nigeria's House of Representatives are seeking amendments to the 1999 Constitution to transition from the presidential to parliamentary system of government. Led by a lawmaker representing Lagos State under the All Progressives Congress, Wale Raji, the lawmakers identified the need for reducing the cost of governance and robust policy debates, among others, as some of the reasons for demanding a return to the parliamentary system. The lawmakers, drawn from different party affiliations, anchored their positions on the need to adopt a parliamentary system at the federal, state, and local government levels. Addressing a press conference at the National Assembly complex on Wednesday, the spokesman for the sponsors and member representing Kebe Tambuwal constituency, Sokoto State, Abdulsamad Dasuki, said that when passed, it would significantly impact the national political landscape. To further discuss this, I am joined by a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Tunji Abdulhameed. It's nice to have you around. Can you please unmute your device?
It's not muted.
Okay, beautiful. We can hear you now. So comparing the two systems of government and considering the way of life in this part of the world, would you subscribe to the proposal by these lawmakers to transit from parliamentary system of government to transit rather from presidential system of government to parliamentary system?
For me, I don't think I will subscribe to that, because I am of the view that our problem is not whether presidential or parliamentary. Our problem goes beyond the kind of system we are operating. Our problem has to do with the kind of people we have in leadership and the kind of followers that we have. The people we have in leadership are not doing the right thing. They are just being selfish and self-centered. The welfare of the people are not their major concern and priority. And that is why we are where we are. It's not about the system. If we change our system from parliamentary, from presidential to parliamentary, and we are behaving the way we are behaving, we will still get the same results. So, and that is the reason why I will not subscribe for the parliamentary system of government. Yes, I'm aware that parliamentary system of government it has its own advantages and disadvantages. In parliamentary system of government, you know, we won't have the president as this powerful. The prime minister will be more powerful because he will be appointed by members of the parliament, and then they will be accountable to them. There will be less separation of power in terms of a parliamentary system of government. Notwithstanding that, like I said, I am not a supporter of a change of any system of government for now. That as to whether, because that's not our major problem. That is not our problem. Our problem goes beyond that the system we are operating. No matter what system we are operating, and we're not changing our attitude, we're not changing our way of running the governance, whereby people who are in government see themselves as the owner of our commonwealth. They use it for their own personal use. Their priority is not for the people. A situation whereby we're talking about hardship, and those in government are buying cars. The parliament, those in parliament, the National Assembly are buying cars. The executive are buying cars. They are loss-free things. That's what they are using money into. So for me, it is not the system itself. It is us that is operating the system that is the problem.
So if you are now saying that there's no need for us to transit from the presidential to parliamentary system of government, what is your view then on revisiting the outcome of the 2014 National Conference that was held during our former President Goodluck Jonathan's regime towards addressing Nigeria's challenges?
Apart from the issue of a change of system of government, there are so many recommendations in that conference that can address most of our problems. Like I said, I am one of, in fact, you see people, when people talk about even amending constitution, changing constitution, do a brand new constitution, I'm one of those who don't believe in that proposition. Because like I said earlier on, our problem is not about the policy, about the program, about whatever we're practicing. It's about the attitude and the people on government, or people outside the government, the way and manner we do things, whereby people who have the opportunity and privileges see those things as their own personal thing, and then they don't follow the right thing and do the right thing. So for me, even if you adopt the conference report in totality, that people claim that it has been the best solution to our problem, and we are not going to, because we are not going to enforce the way it should be enforced, we will see our problem. So in other words, our problem is an implementation of our policies and law, not the system itself. So if we implement our policies and law the way in the interest of the masses, in the interest of Nigerians, we'll get it better. You don't forget that, look, these same people that if we change from parliamentary to from presidential to parliamentary, the same set of people that are in government today will still form the majority part of people who will be in government. So what will change? Nothing.
So tell us then, what kind of policies and laws do you think we should be bringing on board to change the narrative in our way of governance that will translate to probably economic boom and social well-being for the people?
I will still maintain my position. It's not about any law that is our problem. It's not about, we're not lacking law. We're not lacking policies. We have so many laws. We have so many good policies in Nigeria. Nigeria is one of those countries that have the best brain who can formulate policies and law. Our law as it is today, if we implement it 40% or even 50%, our country will be Eldorado. Like I said, our problem is not about the law. It's about the people who have been entrusted with the power to enforce the law and to implement the policies that have been put in place. We are not doing that. A situation whereby individuals will have access to our cash and spend money the way he likes. A situation whereby people in government see themselves give themselves palliative when masses are suffering. A situation whereby the country is the way it is today. What the government will be thinking is how to buy vehicles for the wife of the president, for the National Assembly member. That's the same system we will see. If we go to parliamentary system of government, it will still continue because it's the same sort of people that will still continue with the parliamentary system of government.
But we've seen the way election has played out in Nigeria. So how do you think that Nigerians can elect the kind of leaders that they want, that would represent them well and foster growth, unity, and prosperity for the country?
Yeah, if we are ready to elect people who serve up well, who ignore the attitude of Miloka, it's our turn, it's our son that is to be. It's turn by turn. We forget those things. We forget those sentiments. He's a Muslim, he's a Christian, he's from a Yoruba land, he's from Hausa land, he's from a Igbo land or whatever. If we look at it critically and say, look, this man is the best. He has, from what we are seeing, he has the best quality to deliver for us. Not because he's from my place, not because he's from that place. Until we throw away all those sentiments. Those sentiments are major problem. Sentiment of religion, sentiment of ethnicity, sentiment of all those sentiments that we will put ourselves into. It's the major problem. So if you want the best for ourselves, and we will have the best, it will throw away that sentiment. Even the INEC, if he wants to do any magomago or whatever he wants to do, he will think twice before doing things. But because we have allowed sentiment to divide us, the politicians they know how to divide us by using those sentiments, and then we'll go with them and follow them, and then they do whatever I want to do with them. You can see the last election, people are talking about Igbo, people are talking about Yoruba, people are talking about Hausa. We are divided in that line. So the extent that people will even curse you if you are from the Yoruba side and say, we need for the president, this current president, so thing will happen to you. So we will go in that manner, we won't succeed. So we need to change our attitude, and then we'll get the right results.
Tunji Abdulhameed, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
And you too. Now, moving on, Bayelsa State Governor in southern Nigeria, Doyediri, and his deputy, Lawrence Erujapo, have taken their oath of office, birthing their second term in office for the glory of all lands. The event held at the 5,000-seater capacity of Coach Samson Siasia Sports Stadium in Inagua, the Bayelsa State capital. Among the dignitaries in attendance were Vice Presidents Kashim Shettima, former Presidents Goodluck Jonathan and his wife. Governor Diri, candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the November 11, 2023 Bayelsa State governorship election, defeated the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Timipre Silva, to emerge winner of the election.
This government has prioritized interventions in education, health, infrastructure, agriculture, sports, transportation, human capacity development, youth and women empowerment, as well as security. We are happy to report some life-changing interventions in different spheres, including prompt payment of pensions and outstanding gratuities, expansion of the state health insurance scheme, introduction of a robust science, technical, and vocational education program, and the construction of new science and technical colleges to boost manpower development. It is important to mention that we put in place a well-structured educational curriculum that is designed to meet the challenges presented by the fast-paced, technology-driven environment that we belong. Now, instead of placing undue emphasis on paper...
To security matters now, the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has placed a bounty on criminals living in Abuja. He emphasized a reward of 20 million naira for the capture of any criminal within the FCT. The former governor of Rivers State made this announcement during the presentation of suspects involved in kidnappings, one-chance, and other criminal activities by the FCT Police Command in Abuja. Wike emphasized that criminal activities should not be tolerated in Abuja and assured that the police and other security agencies will soon receive additional communication devices and equipment to enhance their intelligence gathering and operational efficiency.
To face these criminals. And let me assure the residents of FCT, by the support of Mr. President, we are fully prepared to take the war to them. We want to assure them to be patient and believe that the time has come. I've always said, every day is for the thief man. The next day is for the owner of the house. They have terrorized us. They were happy, making news that FCT is not safe. I told them, you will die for it. And look at their faces. Who will even drink a cup of water from these people? With the police, you will see a lot of results will be achieved. Once more, thank you very much for this, and may God bless all of you. Now, let me just give you something. You said it's remaining about 2 or 3 persons. Okay, let me put money on their head. So wherever they are, send their men out there. I'll give them 20 million naira. Go and fish them out, wherever they are. Use that money on their head. I want to see them live or dead. As we are going visiting around, His Excellency is equally going visiting around. He's going on patrol. And that has made us keep us on our toes. Your Excellency, the command is very grateful for your assistance, for the success so far achieved, Your Excellency. The police force is very grateful. And with your support, with your assistance, criminality will be stamped out of FCT. We have determined, we have the capacity to withstand them, we have the capacity to equally deal with them, Your Excellency. As you have been supporting us, we just needed more of your support. But these ones, there are even more. Before Friday, you will hear completion. We are not going beyond FCT because they believe that they can come to kidnapping FCT and run to Garawuse, Tafa, that is in Niger, and to go there and hide. Recently, we have gone there. This morning, we are going to Lapai, where they are hiding. Your Excellency, we want to read them off so that FCT can remain safe.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, bandits have killed 2 policemen and 2 residents in the Kashuwa Daji town, Kaura Namoda local government area of Zamfara State, northern Nigeria. They also abducted about 40 people during an attack on the town. Residents said the bandits invaded the town and started shooting indiscriminately to scare them. A resident of Kaura Namoda town, Abubakar Kaura, said that the bandits entered the town with sophisticated weapons, including anti-aircraft guns. He said the bandits attacked the home of the former state chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Hamisu Kashiwadaji, and abducted one of his wives and grandchildren. To further discuss this, I am joined by former chairman, prosecution of armed banditry and related offences in Zamfara State, Dr. Sani Shinkafi. Dr. Shinkafi, it's nice to have you join us on the news.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
So I'd like to find out what is actually fueling bandit attack, most especially in the north. What is giving them that impetus?
The banditry attacks in the northern Nigeria is highly alarming. If you look at in the northwest, it is the epicenter of banditry. That is the report of killings, kidnapping for ransom, bloodletting, rape, imposition of taxes before cultivation and also before harvesting of palm land, displacement of innocent people from the various community across the state and other part of the northern state. The root cause of armed banditry, there's many root cause of armed banditry in the northern Nigeria. The root cause of armed banditry is a failure at the center of the security apparatus in Nigeria. The securities in Nigeria are fully motivated. They are inadequate and lack of artificial intelligence gathering, and a lot of factors, poverty, corruption, unemployment, proliferation of small and latter arms, forest border, and many factors that mitigate the issue of armed banditry, kidnapping in the north.
Okay, we are still going to come to that issue, but then I'd like to find out from you. Now, we've seen situations where these bandits attack towns, villages, 1, 2, 3, 4, in a particular raid, and they're not being accosted. In this particular case, about 40 people were abducted without being accosted. So I'd like to find out, because you are the the chairman prosecution of armed banditry and related offenses in Zamfara State. Can you give us a rough idea of how many bandits have been arrested, how many of them have been prosecuted, how many of them have been jailed, probably in the last 5 years?
I am the former
former chairman. All right. But I'd like you to just, give us an idea. Give us an idea of the number of people, of these bandits that have been apprehended and dealt with.
During the immediate first administration of Dr. Bello Motawale, we used the two approach, kinetic and kinetic approach. In the non-kinetic approach, we initiate this dialogue. Then in the kinetic approach, we declare a total war on this armed banditry and other criminal elements in the state. So during that period, a lot of arrests were made. Many people were arrested during that period. Many bandits during the exchange of fire were killed, and many were also arraigned before the court of law. And some of them are also on awaiting trial. Some armed bandits were arrested selling arms and ammunition in Galadi, in Shinkapi local governments. Some of also criminal elements were arrested selling camouflage, rocket launchers, and even drugs to these armed bandits. Just of recent, another person was arrested selling a former Air Force. He was a former Air Force officer who was arrested by the team of policemen who was supplying camouflage, rifles, ammunitions and other military kids to the notorious armed bandit kingpins in Zamfara State. So many arrests were made. Many of them were taken to court, and some are also on awaiting trial. And also, during the exchange of fire, some were eliminated by the military forces and security agencies. So, despite of killings, kidnapping, banditry, country stealing, rape, and armed robbery is highly alarming in Zamfara State. Almost 80 to 90% of the rural communities are under siege of this armed bandits in the 14 local government of Zamfara State. It is very unfortunate, a very tragic situation where armed bandits will come with the highly sophisticated weapons, kill security officers, that is policemen, bomb their operational vehicles, kill some innocent people, civilians, and also kidnap more than 40 innocent people and take them away to their hideout. This Hamisu Kaswadaji is even away. He's out of the country for Leverage. He left this country last week, Thursday.
Okay.
And just after he went to Mecca, on Tuesday, he received this tragic news of adoption of his wife, children, and grandchildren.
Now, Dr. Shinkafi. Now, Dr. Shinkafi, you have talked about the frailties on the part of the Nigerian military not having enough weapons, support, logistics, and financial aid. And you've talked about the sophistication of the weapons that's being used by these bandits. Now, of course, you are an expert in this field. What can be done now? What critical steps can be taken now to improve our security architecture and deal with the issue of banditry, kidnappings, and all these killings that we have seen, not only in the north, but of course in Nigeria?
In all the six geopolitical zones, every zone has a peculiar security challenges. So there is need for the federal government at the center to declare state of emergency on security. The security should be fully equipped, they should be trained, and also the security personnel should be adequately deployed. You cannot go to farm. Even with the economic hardship we are facing in Nigeria, despite of killings, kidnapping, insecurity, is one of the contributing factors of the economic hardship we are facing, because there is food insecurity. Most of these rural farmers farm in the rural communities were displaced by this criminal armed bandit. Okay. The economic hardship which is facing Nigerians, this issue of insecurity contribute not less than 50 or 60% of the problem we're facing today. Okay. Because there are series of protests across the country for hunger. Because this bandit does not allow these farmers to go to the farm. They will impose levies, they will impose taxes before you cultivate your farmland and before you harvest. And that's why we have a low harvest in this rainy season.
Okay. Dr. Sani Shinkafi, thank you so much for your time on the news.
And also the community protection guard, the newly inaugurated community protection guard, have contributed to the upspringing of the other security issues.
Okay.
One Lawal Magaji was brutally killed by this community protection guard, which was just commissioned last year.
Maybe that will be another situation we get to look at probably on the news some other time. We'll look at these regional protection units and see how we can improve in that area also. Thank you so much, Dr. Shinkafi, for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, moving on now. Nigeria's Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, says Nigeria cannot continue to subsidize electricity, adding that the nation must begin to move towards a cost-effective tariff model. The minister said this comes as the country is currently indebted to the tune of 1.3 trillion naira to generating companies and $1.3 billion owed gas companies. Adelabu, who addressed a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, said only 450 billion naira was budgeted for subsidy this year, but the ministry needs over 2 trillion naira for subsidy. He said state governments will now be allowed to generate power independently to supply power to their states. Photographs showing the site of the helicopter accident that killed the Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings, Herbert Wigwe, have been made public by the United States National Transportation Safety Board. Wigwe, his wife, their son, Chizi Wigwe, and former chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, perished in a tragic Airbus EC-130 helicopter accident at the California-Nevada border in Halloran Springs. NTSB officials were observed inspecting the debris at the accident site, and the publicly released photos following NTSB board member Michael Graham's announcement of his visits to the site. Graham highlighted the agency's commitment to conducting a comprehensive investigation, mentioning that the team utilized overhead drones to map the wreckage and captured detailed photographs. Earlier, aviation expert Wale Raji joined us on the news to discuss this.
Has really jolted the business community, the families and friends in Mr. Herbert Wigwe. And since it happened, and the NTSB, which is the National Transportation Safety Board, is the highest investigative organ of the United States in investigating road, rail, and sea marine crashes or marine accidents. I think they've done what they're supposed to do, go into it to know exactly what has happened, so that whatever report they gather will help to forestall the recovery. Is the right step in the right direction, only that we would have loved that they have casualties, they have the movies and the crew, they didn't go.
Let's now tell you that a fire explosion at Agbado Road, Toyin bus stop in Ijuishaga, Lagos, southwest Nigeria, has left 18 shops completely destroyed, but without any reported casualty of death or injuries. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service effectively controlled the fire explosion, mitigating its spread and safeguarding the environment and nearby property, including a kerosene petroleum filling station. News Central's Omolola Ololade was at the scene of the event and compiled this report.
The fire was put out in less than 6 hours after the gas explosion, but the ruins remain a constant reminder for residents. The blast, which happened at about 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday, brought down almost every object it came in contact with, destroying the row of shops and goods stored for sale. Residents of the Lagos community who witnessed the disaster say the impact of the explosion was felt several kilometers away from the spot where the gas tanker burst into flames.
The explosion was very, very massive. So at points, so when we come close, we now ask, they say there's a contact, there's a little leakage in that truck discharging before, so they couldn't hold the leakage enough. So the next thing is like maybe something attached. No, before, gas is on air. Maybe there's something attached, maybe whether they make or something else before the explosion.
The mood in Ijuishaga after seeing the ruins caused by the explosion was a mixture of gratitude and confusion. Many residents are grateful to be alive after the massive explosion, though unsure how to move on following the loss of their properties and means of livelihood.
Sienna, brand new Sienna, láti gba distributorship. We have another woman, figures, boutique in me. I want boutique, standard boutique in one. Raise down. I do need to provision. Wholesale ani. Or to be trailer no one jafun. Bobo raise down with fire.
Because I was told if you go inside, you will see where the fire got entered into the shop by the side. They were helping me to rescue some of my properties. So I got here and I made the shop broken and so many of my things lost, but I was able to recover small.
The representative of the Ifako-Ejaye local government commended the Lagos State Fire Rescue Services for its swift response in putting out the fire, especially as things could have escalated because of the fuel station, which is situated very close to the scene of the blast.
All the emergencies responders, they quickly switched into action and everything was put to calm. So we really want to say thank you. On behalf of the executive chairman of this local government, Prince Usman Akombi Amzat, we want to say thank you. We want to appreciate him, at least for saving our lives and some of our properties. So, and we are also pleading that we will look into the people that lost their properties, their valuable things. So I want to say thank you, sir.
This is not the first time a gas explosion is happening in the Iju-Shaga corridor of the state, and investigations reveal that this latest blast was caused by a leaking valve from a gas tanker. The National Emergency Management Agency and other relevant stakeholders have advocated an attitudinal change from drivers and gas tankers to avoid a reoccurrence, while admitting that the activities in the area may have contributed to the impact of the explosion. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Talking health now, pharmacists play a crucial role in Nigeria's public health sector. They are not merely dispensers of medication, but also vital members of the healthcare team. Pharmacists possess the knowledge and expertise to ensure safe and effective use of medications, as well as provide valuable counseling to patients. The heads of pharmacy units in the Lagos State Public Service had a gathering to deliberate how to achieve universal health coverage through new trends. News Central's Bettina Nweli has the reports.
In the last few months, some Nigerians have had to ditch their needed medications because of the skyrocketing cost in the market. It is even more difficult as about 70% of Nigerians pay out of pocket. For a growing number of ailing Nigerians, buying their life-saving medications is dependent on whether they can afford it rather than its necessity.
First, we're talking about the fact that a lot of the drugs are manufactured outside of Nigeria. And so if there's something happening with foreign exchange, it's going to affect the cost of drugs. But having established that premise, we're also looking at how we can encourage local drug manufacturers to step up their game to increase the diversity and the variety of drugs that they produce.
I think it's more on the economic situation in the whole country. In fact, to tell you the truth, globally. This is just how it's one of the areas where it's affecting us. And the fact that we do not manufacture our own drugs in this country, and which is what the federal government, through the current president and the Minister of State, Minister for Health, has said that we now are going to promote an enabling environment where we produce our own drugs.
I think the key challenges we are having is not peculiar to Lagos State alone. It's a national one. It's the high cost of essential medicines presently. It's a national crisis, really. I would call it a crisis, because the cost of drugs is skyrocketing, and the prices keep increasing on daily basis, and that's making some people to actually stop their medication completely. Some will rather resort to herbal products. There are so many fake drugs coming up because of the high cost of the authentic ones.
Pharmacists in Nigeria are equally feeling the pinch. Hence the call on learned colleagues to deliberate and prefer solutions before the situation gets out of hand. One of the major challenges that kept coming up is the fact that the majority of medication sold in the country is being imported, thereby citing the instability of the naira as a common factor.
We cannot isolate pharmacy from all other sectors of the country. It's what is going. We all know what is going generally in the country today. What the policy of the current government has brought on all of us: the removal of petroleum subsidy, the equalization of the exchange rates, and how the inflation has escalated. And more so, the medicines that we use in Nigeria, 80% of them are imported.
The facts that we're coming together on its own, it's a big deal, because meetings like this
being organized is definitely moving the professional forward, because people of various, ideology come together. Our bosses talking, we sharing ideas. Before you know it, the profession is moving forward, and we are doing practically well.
Virtually all first world countries made their wealth from manufacturing and exports. It is hoped that all and sundry in the medical space and even across other strata will do well to start thinking in the line of production rather than importation. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Coming up on the news, Egypt's president receives Turkish counterpart in first visit to Cairo. We'll bring you details of this and more when we return. The news continues in West Africa, where Ghana's president has removed his finance minister in a sweeping reshuffle on Wednesday ahead of December elections, which an economic crisis looks set to take center stage. Ken Ofori-Atta will be replaced by lawmaker Mohamed Amin Adam, according to a presidential statement. The long-serving finance minister in office since 2017 has faced criticism for his handling of Ghana's most severe economic crisis in decades. Inflation rate exceeded 50% in 2022, and the stable West African country accepted a $3 billion International Monetary Fund bailout after the Ghanaian cedi lost half of its value. The IMF said inflation was down to 23% in December last year and headed in the right direction, even if it remained high. In North Africa, Egypt's president Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Cairo after the Turkish president arrived to meet al-Sisi, sealing a long-running rapprochement between the two men. Erdogan, an outspoken critic of Israel's conduct in the Gaza war, discussed with Sisi efforts to halt the bloodshed. Egypt has been hosting joint efforts with Qatar and the United States to broker a new truce between Israel and Hamas. An Israel delegation was in Cairo on Tuesday, while the Hamas delegation visited later on Wednesday. Egypt and Turkey cut ties in 2013 after Sisi, then Egypt's defense minister, ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi, an ally of Turkey and part of the Muslim Brotherhood movement.
Bugüne kadar uçak ve gemilerle 34.000 tonun üzerinde yardım malzemesini bölgeye sevk ettik. Yardımların ulaştırılmasında Mısır makamlarının desteğini burada özellikle ifade etmek istiyorum. Mısır Kızılay'ına, Mısır Sağlık ve Nüfus Bakanlığı'na ve ilgili tüm Mısır kurumlarına teşekkür ederim.
In business, insufficient government loan guarantees in Africa are hindering renewable energy investments, according to Total Energy CEO Patrick Pouyanné. He highlighted the challenge of solvency in electricity projects where there is a risk of not being paid. Renewable developers often seek guarantees from African governments, but they are unable to provide them due to concerns raised by the International Monetary Fund about over-indebtedness. As a result, Total Energy's focuses mainly on business-to-business mining projects in Africa, where payment is more certain. While the company has oil and gas operations in numerous African countries, it also has solar parks in Egypt and plans for a solar power and battery storage project in South Africa. Pouyanné expressed disappointment at the lack of an international financial body to provide counter guarantees for African states without burdening them with additional requirements. Let's also tell you that South Africa has released its first official measurements of the carbon intensity of its electricity production, confirming its position as one of the world's highest per capita producers of greenhouse gases. The Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment announced that the domestic generation grid emission factor for the country is 1.013 tons of carbon dioxide or its equivalent per megawatt hour, based on 2021 data. According to climate think tank EMBA, South Africa has the most carbon-intensive energy system among the G20 nations, followed by Saudi Arabia and India. Despite relying on coal for over 80% of its power, South Africa is taking steps to transition away from fossil fuels with ambitious emission reduction targets and a plan to reduce coal dependence. The DGGEF measurements can be used by carbon credit projects to assess their impact on reducing emissions. The department also provided a national generation grid emission factor that includes imported hydropower at 985 kilograms of carbon dioxide or its equivalent per megawatt hour. And that's all on the news and 3rd hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Obanjo.